So I'm back in my office right now in the Starbucks, and I'm kind of reading some of the things that are going on online right now. And I do have some of the GOP that's on my side. I do know that for sure, and I do have a lot of the DNC that's on my side. So for the people that are seeing the progressive movement and the people that can actually picture the vision that I'm trying to work with, and I want everybody to stay focused on what's going on, the vision that we're looking for. We're looking for a 20-year vision for the United States of America. Now, there's a lot of things that are going on for the presidency, and Trump's trying to push and pull everybody apart, and this is much bigger than what Trump is. We have a chance for two-party system right now to come together and to structurally rebuild all the best fundamental aspects of the entire United States of America. Now, first and foremost, and you guys know that I like to say that, first and foremost, when I look at a 20-year vision for the United States of America, I think of education. We have to think of the education system. We have quite a large gap of wealth disparity, the difference in wealth throughout the nations. A lot of people are poor, and a lot of people are very well-to-do and well-off in our country right now. Now, just because you don't have the money to attend college doesn't mean that you should not be able to attend college. I know that USC this morning just announced that they're going to have any family that makes less than $80,000 a year, they're going to have free school for them. That's I think the 13th school in California that's going to go ahead with that program. Bravo! That's what we need to do. We need to put our kids back into school, put back into the education system. Now, when it comes to the education system and what is really going on, I see the education system as a complete failure right now. When it comes to advanced learning programs, which would be the higher end colleges, I think that you most likely get your money's worth out of it. But in the same aspect, the schools have become too expensive, even for the average person, up to a very wealthy person. I don't see there being a problem with, if you have wealth in America, with you paying for a lot of aspects of your education. And if you don't have any money, I don't see there any problem with programs and school government funding paying for that for you also. The main factor at the end of the day is that we want to educate our children. We want to provide that assistance for every person that can go to school, every person that can go to college and get a degree. Those are kids that'll come out of college and they end up buying houses, they end up buying cars, they end up investing in families, and eventually they'll end up putting their own children back through college. So it's part of a cycle, a 20 or 30-year cycle that's very important to keep running smoothly in the United States of America. Now, when it comes to Bernie Sanders and who they're going to endorse, either going to be Biden or Sanders, I need the DNC and I need Republicans also to look down the road into the future, like 20 years ahead from now. I need you to look at least 4 years ahead from now, because I want to fill the shoes in coming right after Senator Bernie Sanders and becomes the President Bernie Sanders. I think he'll have 4 years in office. It should be a good 4 years. I don't want to move forward with my own policies. I actually want to move forward with many of his policies, and I want to restructure the Green Deal that Ms. AOC has. $97 trillion is absolutely unprecedented. It's too much money for someone like me who understands the green technologies very well and the energy sectors very well. We have advanced technology that can move us in a $10 to $20 trillion investment, maybe up to a $30 trillion investment, should be able to pave the path for the next 50 years in the United States of America, creating millions and millions of jobs over that next 50 years. And at the same time, we want to digress from fossil fuels. So at the same time that we're moving forward with our advanced technology in the green sectors, we're going to provide massive amounts of cleanup when it comes to big business and big business that's spent the last 100 years polluting the lands of the United States of America. And I do think that most of these big businesses should have to pay the majority of it, but at the same aspect, if these big businesses were allowed to do business and permitted to do business by the United States government, then I think that as a country that we should want to invest in the cleanup on our own behalf also. So we can't rely on the big corporations to go ahead and do everything that we need to go ahead and guarantee the future is going to be a hospitable place for men, women, and children. So we need to go ahead and take that into our own hands. If we have to, we need to elect people into Congress that are going to make sure that these laws get passed and that we can get back into living a healthier and a more clean environment for future generations to come. Now, it should be well known that I have one of the highest recorded IQs in recent history, in the last few hundred years anyway. And this isn't something that I'm pumping up for myself, because I've throughout my life I've had to struggle with a lot of the problems that I do have with education and some of the things learning disabilities that I have on top of having a high IQ. I was reading yesterday that Cuba has almost completely eradicated illiteracy. It's doing one of the best in the entire world when it comes to teaching people how to read, and it's outperforming the United States of America. Now, you look at Cuba; it's just a little country right there off the tip of Florida, and this is Cuba while they've been doing this, while they've been under 40 years of U.S. sanctions. Now, these sanctions haven't been any good for Cuba, and they're not doing any good for the United States either. It's time that we get rid of these sanctions and we take a look around at what it is to be a country that can take almost nothing and benefit their people tremendously. And just because the United States of America is a very large country, I don't think that we are ever too big to learn from somebody who's smaller than us, or learn different aspects of trying to advance civilization in a way that's positive and beneficial for future generations to come. The day that we think that we're the best and that we start looking and acting like we're the best, then we're missing out on a lot of opportunity that's coming our way. So right now, Cuba has made a big leap ahead, and I want to use that data and that information and the way that they were able to do that to go ahead and move through the poor communities throughout all of the United States. Now, I've been reading that Alabama's got an unprecedented level right now of poor and people that are undereducated and poor. And the only way that we're going to be able to lift cities and states like Alabama up is to educate them. We need to educate these people, whether they can afford it or not. If they're willing to put in the time and they're willing to put in the effort, then we need to have the opportunity that's waiting for them to go ahead and educate themselves. So back to my part with Congress. I'm not trying to divide anybody up. I want you guys all on the team together. I want us to move forward with a lot of issues that are going to go on in the next 20 years. Education is going to be a good part of it. Ending Tulsi Gabbard, Miss Tulsi Gabbard, she's always talking about it, and I respect her greatly for the time that she puts into it. These endless wars, they absolutely have to end. The International Criminal, the ICC it's called, is going to look into war crimes that were committed in Afghanistan by United States military personnel. And I've been pushing for this for a long time, and this is, I'm not after our personnel. That's 100%. I support troops around the world because I understand the cost of what it is to actually go to war and to, against all sides. Just like Turkey and Russia today had to come to an agreement that they wouldn't fight each other, and that they're going to use diplomatic relations ahead of attacking each other. This is more proof that war is very dangerous for any country to get in. It's to society in general, to families on both sides of any war. It's a very dangerous and unprecedented thing. We can't just rush into wars that have no goal. They have no goal. That's where the wars have been taking us for the last 20 years. They absolutely have no goal. They have no place in a modern society. And when they were all started in the 90s and then early 2000s, The leaders just come and go, presidents come and go, but the wars just stay and continue. And this just can't go on anymore. The wars are costing us right now. The war budget is $738 billion, and that's just the money that's on the books. There's another, I'd say $500 billion that's off the books, and we're looking at over $1 trillion a year to fight the wars now. $1 trillion a year. If Congress wants to look forward with my vision, with the 20-year vision, that's going to be that's between 20 and 25 trillion dollars that we're going to have by stopping these wars. Now, I understand what it is to make weapons. I've designed weapons. This part of what my intellectual property is, and I understand that we have probably millions of people that work for Boeing, that work for Northrop Grumman. They work for a lot of these industries that produce weapons now. There's a lot of good engineers. We have got a lot of good people that design these weapons. It's hard to just stop these industries from forming by canceling the wars and the war contracts. So I see it's best fitting that we take all of these industries and we transform them into green technologies industries and advanced energy sector. They're already set up to produce advanced weaponry, which means that we can put them into the advanced power and advanced green sector, and they can advance millions and millions of jobs in the United States of America, along with the Army Corps of Engineers and some of these industries to go ahead and provide assistance into cleanup of fossil fuel industry. So I just want a lot of people out there to know that I want to run for president. I really do. I want to take both parties, unite both parties. I want to put together the 20-year plan. Right now, we got a 4-year plan with Bernie Sanders. Followed, I would hope to be able to work. I'm only 41 years old. I would like to be able to put in 8 years. I'll be one of the youngest presidents there was, just like Barack Obama. But I think that I can unite both of the parties and bring together a lot of good change for the citizens of the United States of America. And this would be a repeal of quite a few laws and quite a few acts, including the Patriot Act and including the National Defense Act. And I'd want to go through and restructure both of these aspects of these laws to get them more into conforming with the United States Constitution. And I have a lot of benefit to being the United States president, as in that I've already made friends with a lot of the world leaders now. I've preached peace and prosperity around the world for the last 4 years, and with what Bernie Sanders wants to do in the United States of America and a lot of other countries, they're leaning for it also. The Labour Party in the UK is leaning for it. There's a lot of countries that are leaning towards a progressive movement. The progressive movement just means that we as countries intend to uphold the rights of our citizens and seek peace and prosperity over death and destruction and war. So the progressive movement worldwide is just going to be a movement that advances civilizations and culture in unity in a direction that's beneficial for us all. I don't want the progressive movement to be something that's pulling us away from God. I actually want it to be a movement that's pushing us all together, no matter what your beliefs are in this world. Just human anatomy, you can look at it, just the basics of human anatomy. You can see that the design of our body is done by intelligence that's far greater than us. We use a lot of this intelligence through nature, through the designs of a lot of different aspects of all of civilization has been the divine design, the design of how God has given us the ability to design things, and how we've been able to look at science and innovation and be able to build things off of the way that our surroundings are built, and that is all done by the Almighty God, 100%. Some people look at me and think of me as a prophet, and I do speak to God a lot. I pray a lot, and I think it's something that's very good for each individual and for large groups of people. Not all the time do I go ahead and say the things that God and I talk about, but on an individual level, yeah, I talk to God a lot, all the time, and I think it's something that's very good for all people. And I want all religions to stop fighting each other and to join hands, and let's move forward together, and let's create a better place for all of us in this next 20 years. I wish everybody out there a great day, and God bless.